Hi everyone, it's Brianna. I will be covering Chapter 1 of our Craft and Furlong textbook. In this chapter, we have learned about what public policy is, why it is important, and how to apply it. This chapter really sets a strong foundation for the rest of the chapters in the textbook, as well as the material in Bardock. So, what is public policy in the first place? By now, we should all know or have a very good understanding of what it is. But if not, it can be described in a few bullet points. Public policy is what public officials within government, and by extension, the citizens they represent, choose to do or not to do about a public problem. The word policy analysis can be broken down into individual words. The term policy refers in general to the proposed course of action that an individual or group consistently follows in dealing with the problem. And the term analysis means the deconstruction of an object of study, that is, breaking down to its basic elements to get a better understanding of it. Now going into the basic concepts, it includes government, politics, and policy analysis. Government refers to the institution in which public policy choices are made. The government of the United States has a legal obligation to govern the group of people, or the citizens, of who reside in the country. Politics concerns the exercise of power in society or in a specific decision over public policy. And as for policy analysis, it is the examination of components of public policy and or the policy process. It also encourages deliberate critical thinking about the causes of the public problem. Now, let's go over the 5 contexts of public policy, which include social, economic, political, governing, and cultural context. First, social context affects policy decisions. Social conditions tend to be more dynamic than static. Social changes have been known to alter how the public and policymakers feel and act towards problems that can range from anything from crime to even the rising cost of healthcare coverage. An example of this today would be the elderly in America. There are so many baby boomers who are now making up the majority of the elderly. Since they make up the fast-growing segment of our country's population, they tend to demand more attention, which can make it difficult for policymakers, and their biggest concern for them is Social Security. Next is economic context. In my opinion, economic context plays one of the biggest roles in policies being implemented in our government because of the state economy that we are in. When it comes to economic policy, it really deals with the inflation and unemployment. On the other hand, the economy itself plays a major role in the development of many other programs that are offered. A quick example of this is that if there is a strong economy, there will more likely be lower unemployment, which can lead to the reduction in needs for welfare and other assistance programs. Economic context also plays and has a big influence on budgetary politics. The United States is upside down with our budget, which means that we are generating less revenue than we are currently bringing in. Similar to the others, political context also plays an important role in public policy choices at every single step from the beginning to the end. With this context, it is important to be aware of the relative strengths. Next is the governing context, which is highly complex. Due to it being so complex, the structure has a major impact on public policy. With the separation of powers mandated by the Constitution, it requires that any policy go through various levels, which can sometimes be difficult to reach an agreement upon. And the 5th one is cultural context. Political culture falls under this form of context because of the widely held values, beliefs, and attitudes such as trust and confidence in the government and the political process, or sometimes the lack thereof. When it comes to government involvement, everyone has their own opinion, which we discussed early on in this course by placing the different political parties on a line graph. There tends to be a lot of controversy when it comes to the government and seeing if there's really a need for them to intervene. Reasons for the government to intervene include political, moral, or ethical, or when it comes to economics and market failures. The public and policymakers can choose to decide if the government should intervene in order to solve a problem for political reasons. As far as moral and ethical reasons, certain problems can be answered, and certain circumstances may dictate that government should or should not be involved. An example of this is Social Security. Social Security was adopted to assure that people who were elderly or disabled have a sufficient amount of income in order to keep them out of poverty. When it comes to economics, many economists believe that the government should not intervene. On the other hand, economists will acknowledge that market failures warrant for government intervention. A market failure can occur when private market is not efficient, which causes them to fail. So why is public policy important? Why do we have to study it? Well, it's really all about the people. Citizens have the ability to participate and make choices. We live in a democracy where citizens have the right to elect delegates. As citizens, we also hold the right to speak out on policy development and other government actions. Citizens have the ability to influence policy decision. Policymakers and others involved in the policy process use information from the citizens to understand the dynamics of a particular problem, which can lead them to develop better options for action. As citizens, we have the ability to influence policy decisions. Policymakers and others involved in the policy process use information that they gather from the citizens in order to get a better understanding of the dynamics of a particular problem. This can lead to developing better options for action. The more citizens are aware, the bigger role that we play in policymaking. When it comes to practicing and deciding which policy method is best, there are a few aspects that should be considered. Policy analysis is usually described as a systematic and organized way to evaluate public policy alternatives or existing government programs. There are many uses of policy analysis that many people can benefit from, whether it's ordinary citizens or organizations. As for policymakers, policy analysis is an essential tool for development of public policy and its evaluation. Thank you so much for watching my presentation on Chapter 1. If you have any further questions or want clarification on something, please reach out and leave a comment. Thank you.